Hello, hello, everyone. It is Wednesday, and welcome back to this week's episode of Air Domo, where we are talking about investing in paradise across borders. And today we are going to talk about Mexico. I'm Stephanie Gillis, and this is my partner in crime, Hannah. Hannah, I've been all over Mexico. What about you?
I have not been to Mexico yet, and that makes me very sad
I
because
love it
I
because
know
we always talk about places you've been, and now we get to talk about a place I've been.
exactly. You win on this one. Although I'm very excited to go, and I know we can't do Mexico justice in the short 10-15 minutes that we're going to be here today, but I'm very excited to talk about it and to know more.
Absolutely. And as time goes by, we will dive into all different types of regions of Mexico. But today we are going to cover it as a whole. And, it's amazing because I think the first time I ever went to Mexico, I think I was 6 years old. And that first place I ever went to was Cancun. So that's always left quite an impression on me. And I know that's one of the places we're going to talk about today. So I'm ready to dive in. How about you?
Yes, I'm ready too. Now, I know that Mexico has one of the largest tourism industries in the world, attracting over 40 million visitors each year, which is huge, and that the country offers both affordability and luxury with world-class beach destinations and so many vibrant cities. And I know that the coastlines stretch across two oceans, both the Pacific and the Caribbean, and it's an incredible variety for investors.
Absolutely. And it's easy to get to, right? I mean, you've got all of North America that can truly just get to Mexico very quickly. And then also everywhere in South America can get to it fairly quickly as well, too. But in working in Mexico, I've sold property to Asians, Indian, all over the place. So a lot of people do flock to Mexico. And so foreign buyers can enjoy the strong returns because of these tourism zones like Tulum, Playa del Carmen, and Los Cabos. The country has a growing expat community, especially from the US, Canada, and Europe. And so it makes it so much, easy to integrate. And especially since COVID, a lot of people, said, look, I don't have to go back to the office. I want to spend time across the border in Mexico and then still, come back into the States as well, too. So it's a pretty unique place, and each region has something a little bit different to offer. So yeah, let's dive in.
That really sounds amazing. So let's talk about why Mexico is considered a top choice for global real estate investors. I know there's a lot of obvious answers here, but let's go through them.
Well, again, the coastline, right? I mean, if you're looking for beaches, you have got so much coastline up the Pacific and then also in the Caribbean. And it's gorgeous coastline. You've got surfing, you've got I mean, pretty much any water sport you could ever imagine has taken place somewhere in Mexico. But also, too, because of its heritage and its history, the Mayan ruins that are throughout Mexico, people want to go there. So it's got strong rental potential. It's got accessible pricing, it's affordable, and it's year round. I mean, it's warm all the time. It hardly ever rains, and when it does, it's very short spats of rain. And so if you get a 30-minute shower, it feels great, and then you can go back to sunning. And it's so easily, proximity to the US, it makes it just a hop, skip, and a jump to get there. And so North American visitors can go for 4-day weekends, or they can go for spring breaks, fall breaks, and so forth. So the country's diverse regions, from beach resorts to the colonial cities, provide opportunities for any type of purchaser. And Mexico is a stable property law country. So its attractive lifestyle makes it one of the most popular investment destinations in Latin America. And you will see quite a few Americans who now call Mexico home.
I know, and when I was doing research on the nature and the wildlife and the geography, it's so impressive. It's one of the 17 mega diverse countries in the world when it comes to biodiversity.
Yeah.
and it like ranks first in the number of reptile species, second in mammal species. And then what I also saw, like you said, that was so interesting is it has more coastline than land borders,
Yeah.
which is super interesting. And it's the second largest coral reef system in the world. It's just amazing. So I'm very excited to go there. But let's talk about what legal factors foreigners should understand before buying property in Mexico.
Well, we foreigners can buy property freely throughout Mexico, except in the restricted zones within 50 kilometers of the coast or 100 kilometers of international borders. Now, there's restricted zones, and then ownership is also secured through a bank trust. Now, when you say 50 kilometers of the coast, there are exceptions to that. There are properties owned by foreigners in condominiums that are right oceanside. Okay, so there are going to be exceptions throughout, and so that is just something again that we have to investigate and understand and know before you go, and do something. Again, where Airdomo comes into play, because we're here to protect you through those types of transactions. All ownership of property is secured through a bank trust, and it's a Mexican corporation that holds that trust. Okay, so the bank holds title in the trust for the foreign buyer, but the buyer retains full control and benefit. Okay, the trust is for 50 years. Now, after 50 years, it keeps renewing indefinitely, so it doesn't go away. There's been so many myths over the years that I've heard that, oh, you don't really own your property in Mexico. Well, you do. It's held into a trust, and you own the trust. Okay, so nobody's going to step in and take your property. So you are in fact safe in wanting to invest in Mexico. All right, taxes and fees. Closing costs typically range from 5 to 8% of the purchase price, and then property taxes are low. They are super, super, super low. Usually they're under 0.1% annually. Okay. They're pennies on the dollar, you all. And then capital gains tax applies on resale. Through exemptions exist though for primary residences. So depending on how much you stay in this property, it could be considered your primary residence, because owning property supports a visa and a residency application in Mexico, particularly for retirees and long-term investors. And you say, well, how do I tell Mexico I'm a retiree? Well, if you're spending time there and you can prove on your tax returns that you do not have corporate income, guess what? You're a retiree. So again, talk to your tax accountant for that, but that's how it works out. So. Makes sense, Hannah?
And exactly. And if all of that was not enough, Mexico is the birthplace of chocolate and the largest producer of avocados. So for me, those two are super appealing. I'll have guacamole all
You're
day, every day.
you're missing tequila though. You're missing tequila. It's everywhere.
Listen, I've been talking about wine the last couple of countries. I don't want people to get any ideas. but I am excited about tequila always. So yes, Mexico is so beautiful. There's many languages that are being spoken, but of course English is definitely widely spoken. So won't have no issues there. When we talk about Mexico, which parts are the most appealing for property investment? And Stephanie, you are the expert here.
Well, the Riviera Maya has been over the course of the last few years, especially with COVID, the popular, right? And in those areas, you're going to have the Playa del Carmen, you're going to have Cancun, you're going to have those areas up and down that coastline. You're going to have Tulum. Now, listen. There's been some oversaturation, okay? And so that's one thing that is so super important for you to consult with people like me and Airdomo, because what we don't want you to do is to buy in an oversaturated area. These places got so popular so fast that developers were building uncontrollably. Okay. Not a bad thing if you want long-term hold. But if you're looking for short-term rental income, then we need to steer you away a little bit from those areas. Okay. But there's plenty of opportunities. There's plenty of opportunities that don't even register on a map that I find truly impressive in Mexico. Now, we've all heard of Cancun. That's the resort hub, okay? You've got reliable rental income if you can find condos in a house. You're not going to see a whole lot of that because it is the resort hub, okay? But that's also the closest international airport, but you're still going to get on a bus and travel some time, but it's not a bad ways to the airport. And then you've got Los Cabos, the high-end villas. That's where your golf communities are, luxury buyers. And then Puerto Vallarta, that's on the Pacific Ocean side. That has been popular for retirees and digital nomads. It still has the strong rental yields. You got a lot of people that come straight down from California to Puerto Vallarta. And then, of course, Mexico City is the centralized part. It's ideal for long-term investors focused on urban growth and stable returns. There's been a lot of industry relocated into Mexico City as well, too. And so there's other reasons why people buy in Mexico City. It's not just for tourism itself. It's for long-term rental or short-term rental to, for some of those corporations or some of that manufacturing and other things that are going on there too. But again, there's so many places. Like Mérida, Mexico is one of the coolest places I think I've been to. We don't mention that, and a lot of people don't hear of that, but it's a place that you want to look up. It's a place that you want to take. It's a really unique, there's a university there, and it's not known so much for tourism, but the houses are impressive. And I feel that it is up and coming. It's a place that I would keep my eye on if I'm looking to invest currently in Mexico. And there's others. We'll dive into those in the future weeks.
There we go. Some insider information here, exclusive. Thank you, Stephanie. So what trends are currently shaping Mexico's real estate market?
Well, rapid growth of the eco-friendly developments in Tulum and that whole entire Yucatan. The Yucatan is where you're going to see a lot of those Mayan ruins. And if you've never been there to see Mayan ruins, you've got to go and take a look at those. I think the first time I ever went to Chichen Itza, I was 6 years old and climbed the pyramids, was in the Colosseum. Impressive, impressive, impressive. Almost like you're in Rome, but you're in Mexico. It's really impressive, you all. But also the expansion of digital nomad communities, driving demand for furnished rentals, okay? People want to see furnished rentals. You've got an opportunity in Mexico, kind of like Florida, for those of you that are here in the United States. You buy a house in Florida and you might rent it to the same person for 3, 4, or 6 months, right? You have that same opportunity in Mexico because there are people that are up north and they want to spend the winter in Mexico. All right. And so that's the opportunity that you have in certain areas. Okay. There's also a strong rise in luxury coastal developments. Los Cabos and the Riviera Maya, there's lots of development going on. But again, I'm going to pull you back from that because I want you to talk to me before you just go and say, oh, that looks like a good deal. We're gonna dive deep. And here's another thing that we want to definitely look at. And my Mexico friends, I don't ever want to insult you, but I also want to tell the truth. And there's a lot of people in Mexico that'll advertise a guaranteed ROI, return on investment. There's no way that you can guarantee a return on investment. You have to be cautious about that. So when you see that guarantee, it's not a guarantee, folks. It's not a guarantee at all. So be cautious of that. And again, that's why we have airdomo.com.
Exactly. So that was very valuable insight. When we talk about risks or downsides that the investor should be aware of, I know the first one is the fideicomiso complexity, which requires proper setup through a reputable bank and a legal advisor. And then there's a tourism reliance on markets that are like Tulum that can be seasonal and fluctuate with global travel trends. What are some other ones?
There's infrastructure gaps, you all. There are so severe infrastructure gaps. Some of the coastal towns are still developing their utilities and their roads. And I'm going to tell you right now, you need to know about these things, and you need an outsider to be those eyes for you, because the one thing you don't want to do is to buy a glamorous penthouse and never have running water. And it happens. So it's something that you have to be sure of. And then also too, it may have running water during the showing, but will it later on that night? So infrastructure is definitely a problem still in certain areas, and it's something that we want to keep our eyes on for you so that you don't get pulled into the wrong area. Look, scams and unregulated brokers, deals, it is so important. You know, the passion behind Airdomo is exactly this, is protecting people who are interested in owning, investing, you know, having their retirement home, their second home, whatever it is, outside of wherever your primary is. It's protecting you from scams and unregulated brokers. It happens every single day, and it's unfortunate. And in Mexico, there is no licensing for real estate professionals. And so you can meet anybody and everybody, and they can tell you anything and everything. And so because of that, you need to do investigation. And the only way you're going to do investigation is to have the right relationships to do an investigation. It took me years to make those relationships in Mexico, but that's what we've done here at Airdomo. And we've put that together and packaged it for you on purpose to protect you. It's a great place to invest. I don't want to scare anybody. I love Mexico. That's why we're covering it. But it's also a place to keep your eyes wide open and have a partner like us.
Exactly. And there, I know, Stephanie, you have some horror stories about scams that I hope one of these webinars we're going to
We'll
put some
cover it.
time away just for that.
Yes, we will, for sure, for sure.
Hey, perfect. And then always my favorite part at the end, which is the ROI. How can investors maximize returns in Mexico?
All right, so we're going to focus. You're going to work with us, number one. Number two, we're going to focus on high demand tourist destinations that are not oversaturated. All right, we want to have strong short-term rental yields. We want to make sure that they truly do have those. They don't just say they do. All right. We also want to work with developers that are offering full property management. That is so important when it comes to Mexico, because if there is not full property management support, the likelihood of that property being maintained is very slim to none. And so we have to work with that. That is huge. It's very important. Okay. We want to invest in early up and coming areas, and we want to make sure they're connected to infrastructure. Okay. We got to make sure of it. If there's no sewer and if there's not running water, guys, run like hell. Okay. We got to go. We also want to choose eco luxury or branded properties, because when you choose the eco luxury, then maybe some of those systems can work without the infrastructure. And then the branded properties come with additional regulations over and beyond what government does. And so that ensures and gives us an extra insurance policy that you're not going to get a little bit, you know, screwed over, right? Or scammed. And again, you got to partner. You got to partner with us and know that we've already built the trusted relationships to make sure that you don't travel down a road that you're never going to come back from, because we do not want you to lose your money. That's number one, not to lose your money. Hannah, I think I've covered it. I love Mexico, as people can tell. There's passion here, but again, it's one of those places where, like so many, we've got to make sure that you're protected. And again, the reason why airdomo.com exists today.
Exactly. And I think that's because you've seen so many things with so many years under your belt as a real estate broker internationally. That is exactly why people trust you, is because you know what can happen and you know how to make sure it doesn't.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, until next Wednesday, where we're going to dive deeper into something even more impressive, I think we're covering Panama, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
All right. So we will see everybody next Wednesday. Don't forget to like us and follow us on all social media. If you have questions or something that you want us to cover, please write us, ask us. We want to deliver any content that you're looking for. We appreciate you, and we'll see you next Wednesday. Thank you.
Bye.